In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why I think Claude beats ChatGPT for school leadership work, and why, if I were still a school superintendent, I would be taking a hard look at something like Claude Cowork. If you don't know who I am, I'm Steve Troyer. I spent 22 years in public education, 15 of those were as a school administrator, and the last 5 were as a public school superintendent in Indiana. I'm the founder of Willow Run Group and EdLeader AI. I help school leaders integrate AI into their day-to-day work to help free them up to do the things that only they can do. Let's get started. Claude is a model built by the AI company Anthropic, in the same way that ChatGPT is built by OpenAI. These companies are both putting out what are called frontier AI models, and they are most often delivered to people inside of a web-based chat window that is commonly referred to as an AI chatbot. ChatGPT and Claude are essentially the same types of AI applications. They just have different ways of going about solving problems and interacting with you. You've probably used ChatGPT, maybe Gemini, and maybe even Copilot if you are a Microsoft district. Claude, though, has arguably been the best model out there for 2026. Most school leaders haven't tried it because the marketing footprint is a lot smaller, and to be quite honest, the K 12 crowd isn't exactly where Anthropic is spending its time and money. So that's the backstory, but here are the 3 actual reasons why I would recommend Claude. First, Claude is the best model in the world right now for doing the kind of work that a school leader does. We can take a look at the benchmarks, but benchmarks are always widely contested, so I don't think we should waste our time arguing about rankings. What I will tell you is that if I were to sit down to draft a board memo, summarize a 30-page audit, or pull patterns out of attendance data, Claude's output is just noticeably better. Tighter writing, better synthesis, fewer hallucinations. If you have used ChatGPT and felt like the output was 80% there, but you had to clean up the last 20%, Claude's going to pull you closer to that 95% number. That 15% is the difference between AI that helps you and AI that costs you the time that you thought you actually saved. The second reason that I'm choosing Claude is because Claude excels at the kind of work that school leaders actually need. ChatGPT tends to be a little too personal and chatty for my liking. Unless you heavily prompt it, ChatGPT always wants to be your friend, brainstorming hobbies, suggesting recipes, talking through your feelings. That's a real product if the focus is on the consumer market, but it's really the wrong approach for someone running a district who has real work that needs to get done. Claude is really good at helping with the real work: analysis, document synthesis, long form drafting, pulling themes out of a mess of data. Claude's default tone is closer to a thoughtful colleague rather than a peppy assistant. When I ask it to read a 40-page strategic plan and pull out the 3 themes that the board needs to know about, it doesn't open with "great question" and then bury the answer 4 paragraphs down. It gets right to the answer. Finally, if I'm just thinking about Claude for the first time, Claude has something that ChatGPT doesn't, and that's Cowork. Cowork is part of the Claude desktop app. It's the piece that takes Claude from a chatbot in a browser to an assistant that actually works on your computer. Inside Claude Cowork, Claude can read and write documents that are actually on your computer. It can connect to your Gmail or Outlook. It can also connect to your Google Drive or your SharePoint, your calendar. It runs tasks. It remembers context inside of what's called a project, so that the next time you open it, the model already has your district profile, it has your previous work sessions, and if you've uploaded it, it has things like board policies in its working memory. That's the thing that nobody talks about. ChatGPT in a browser is a smart chatbot, but Claude inside of Cowork is closer to an entry-level central office hire with read and write access to the files that actually run your district. There are a few things that Cowork is not. It is not for student information. Names, IDs, grades, IEP details, discipline records. The workflows in this series operate on aggregate counts and percentages, templates and frameworks, not individual student records. The other thing that Claude isn't is magic. It's not going to give you back your evenings overnight, and it's not going to turn you into a different kind of leader. What it will do is hand you a thinking partner that handles drafts and synthesizes the work you'd otherwise be doing alone at 9 p.m. after you put the kids to bed. So that's the why. The next episode, we're going to look at the how to get started in 30 minutes, which plan to pick, what's in the desktop app, and where you should start with your first project. If you want to start before then, grab the 3 workflow starter pack at edleaderai.com. It's free and it includes 3 fully built use cases, all the templates that you're going to need, and a getting started guide. It's a real product, not just a teaser. New episodes are going to drop 2 times a week. Please subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next episode.